All right, guys, you know how we did the intro for the food truck and said the food truck build was coming? Well, we already tore into it, so let me get the speed as far as what we did today. Just a lot of ripping and tearing. And by we, I mean mostly Steve. But he ripped out the entire garage door here. Remember, we're no longer going to have the standard pull-down garage door and the channel of the track, which was welded, riveted, and you name it in there with whatever they had, I guess. So we got that all out. He's cleaning up some of the rivets and the grinding. He's just cleaning it all up to get ready to frame the wall. Remember, that's going to be out of 2x2 tubing, as you can see right there on the ground. He already ripped the... All right, sorry, we lost our GoPro battery again. But as you can see, you got the front bumper off. Most of the front end is actually tore apart because we're going to be extending the front bumper. And my buddy Chad over at Champion Auto is hooking us up with a another used front bumper that we're going to actually channel and out of the two bumpers extend and make one bumper. And then you got the grill and everything else off the front end as well. So mirrors, he already stripped the mirrors down. He decided to take the lower rub strip off. No, we are going to leave the lower rub strip. The upper ones did come off. So next up, he's going to be finishing the plywood and getting the tubing for the for the walls. So yeah, we did a little more than just talk about it today. All right, guys, so we've decided to make like a big truck, like trucker front bumper on the food truck for Beckers BBQ. And honestly, the best way to do that was originally just going to take some strip steel and cut this down the middle, extend it out. However, this has got multiple contours on it, and we actually found another one on a used truck, an old FedEx truck, over my buddy Chad's place at Champion Auto. So we're going to run over there right now. We're going to get that so that we can take two bumpers and make one. So let's get on the road and let's grab that. All right, we made the Champion Auto. We got ourselves a FedEx truck and or food truck donor. Check the bumper out, Steve. It looks pretty good, dude.
I like it.
It's a couple small dents here, but honestly, maybe this is the one we keep top and bottom.
No kidding.
And use yours as the filler.
Yep.
If it's not rusting, it doesn't look it.
No, it looks nicer.
So there's something to keep in mind. Ooh, chrome hubcaps, bud. All right, so Steve's got this down to a science, I hope, because I wasn't paying attention when he pulled it off. But grill's coming out, top cover off, undo the top and bottom bolts, and boom, we got ourselves a bumper. All right, so just realized that we need a 1/2-inch breaker bar because my freaking Milwaukee is not taking this upper bumper bolt out. So we need some more leverage, and well, no one's around. It's just us. So I don't know what we're gonna do. Hey, you improvise when you have to improvise. You find whatever you got laying around, and you wrap it on your ratchet, and you give her hell. And that's how we got them both now. Yeah, it's moving. Then we can get our Milwaukee to finish it off, as it wasn't strong enough to begin with. Here we go. We're almost free home. Ooh. Hey, are we free? Are we bumper free, Steve?
We should be bumper free about. Yeah, she's moving.
There's someone sitting in the parking lot over there. I think they think we're stealing. I used the bumper off a beat up FedEx truck. I can think of better things I'd rather be doing. All right, our bag saved the day. My trusty little road bag has a little bit of everything in it. Most of it's garbage tools, but you know what? It works in a pinch, and it got the bumper off because we found the socket we needed. So we now have our donor bumper. So now go home and cut it all up.
Way nicer than mine.
All right, so thank you, Champion Auto. We got ourselves a donor bumper to start cutting it up, making a trucker bumper out of it. All right, guys, we're back in the shop. We got the donor bumper and we get the original bumper. So that's the original bumper. This is the donor bumper, and honestly, we think the donor bumper is in better shape rust-wise. So I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna undo the brackets. We're gonna actually cut this down the middle, right down the middle, split this in half. We're gonna take 4 inches approximately out of the middle of this bumper, between those license plate holes, all the way across, and then scab it into this bumper to give us that trucker look. We'll have to add some spacers to the bottom for the brackets on the bumper, but I think that's our direction. So first thing, we'll lay a string on here, get it marked, and get it cut. We got the bumper all marked out here. We ended up with 3 1/4. That's about as much as we could get without it dropping off the edge here. So Steve's gonna start attacking this with the cutoff wheel. We're gonna take this out. We're keeping this section. We're gonna lay it on the center of this to reference a line, so that line will essentially follow the contour of this. So in theory, this should work. I hope. All right, we have one bumper completely cut down. So we have our 3 1/4 inch strip that we're gonna clean up the sharp edges, take a little bit of a dent out of it, and then lay it on the center of this bumper as a reference mark to now split this bumper right in half and weld that section into this one. All right, so we have our original bumper that we cut down the middle. We now have our 3-inch-ish strip that we took out of our donor bumper over there. So we're gonna lay it flat on its nose and kind of throw some tacks on here and see how this all lines up together. I think it'll work. I hope so. All right, we got the inside kind of laid in there intact. It's not perfect, but it isn't bad. Obviously, our ends are off a little bit because of the length of the bumper. So we're gonna do something with this. We're gonna cut this off. We're gonna recontour it, but I'm gonna wait until the bumper is actually sitting on the truck itself before we do that. But definitely big. This is definitely a big bumper now. All right, we got our Frankenstein bumper setting on now. And yep, that's looking pretty badass. I'm not gonna lie. Right now, Steve's gonna be cutting some spacers because the same thickness as the piece we added to the bumper. So we'll put a piece of square tube in between here and here and a through bolt. Just so we get an idea of how this thing's gonna sit exactly before I go ahead and actually finish welding this. But kind of give you a first look at it. Pretty freaking rad. All right, it's test fit, Steve. You got it set on there. We did throw the lower valance on there as well, but we're both thinking we might just nix that. Because I don't know. So we just threw the upper plastic part on there as well to get an idea. And then I think we're gonna follow the contour of this line down and trim this off right there. Whoop, just like that. Take it back off, and then we can go ahead and do the full stitch weld and a few little stitches here and there, and some paint on it. And Steve's still progressing on the walls here. He's welding like a madman. So walls are still going in and up, and this is freaking awesome. And as you know, we fit the bumper up, so that was good. And now I'm just taking it back off so we can go ahead and trim that contour in the side, as well as doing the stitch welds and drill the holes for a little cross bracing I'm going to put in there as well. And we decided on losing the lower valance, so we're taking it off. All right, guys, here we go. We get the cut that we made that line on right there all cut out. So now we have that contour of the fender well on the wheel, so that's much better looking. Takes care of that, and that plastic strip actually wraps around the top right here on this edge, so that'll take care of that. Steve's over here killing it with the welder inside the food truck, killing it on the walls. So as soon as he's done with the welder, we'll bring it back in here and get hammered on the bumper again. As you can see, we're not cutting any corners, and we are not going slow in this food truck. We got deadlines. We got a fast and furious build here for Beckers BBQ. We got to get this thing, at least the outside of it, done by the end of the summer. It could be late summer, but by the end of the summer, to have the look that he wants, because it'd be cool to get it to a few car shows and enter it, and not necessarily enter to compete, but just to get the word out there and kind of show him what we did and his business itself. So that'd be real cool. In the meantime, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe to the channel, because guess what, it helps us out and you get to follow along this build and many of our other builds. Steve's actually over here finishing the main frame of the walls, believe it or not. Like, we're actually killing it this week. It's looking real good. As you can see, the windows all framed out, the front walls framed out now with the little kick out, the side walls are framed out. We're just basically inside a cage or a frame, so we kick this out so we can have an access panel to get to his lighting and stuff. But the main frame is done. He's going to be ordering and putting in a RV door for the back. Yep. So here's the service window. Check it out. And actually, that's inside. I can show you that as well. So the main frame is all 1.5 inch, 16 gauge, yep. 16 gauge tubing. That's all been MIG welded in, screwed to the top and bottom floor. So that's the main box. This is the food service window, and it's actually made right here in the US that he ordered, and it has a special awning, and I'll be able to show you that a little bit better because tomorrow we're going to actually be installing that in the truck, at least temporarily installing that. And the awning kind of flips up. It's on gas pistons. It's freaking awesome. I'll let Steve tell you a little bit more about that when we get it installed. All right, we got our bumper back in the shop here, and we laid it out kind of alternately every 6 inches to do a stitch weld. We're not doing a full weld here. Remember, this is a rat rod theme, so it can't be too clean. Although this is laid on real nice, dude. I mean, it contoured really well. But we're gonna go ahead and stitch weld this thing, but kind of bouncing around back and forth so we don't warp the bumper. And then we're gonna move on to some cross bracing with copper wire. All right, we finished our Franken stitch welding on the bumper, and like I said, we're gonna do some random copper stitches, like literally stitches, where we take some 12 gauge household wiring and I twisted them together, and it's basically gonna be like a cross stitch randomly on the bumper. So not perfect, it's gonna be literally random. This will go in after the bumper's all painted and we got a look we want. However, just for the test, I'm gonna put one in just to kind of show you what it's gonna look like. All right, we got the first copper stitch installed, and these are gonna be random as well. Probably one down here, or maybe closer to the corner. A couple across the front, one on the other side there, but that's essentially the look itself right there. Now, granted, this bumper is gonna be painted, and then we'll scuff some of the welds down so you see those. So these will really stand out. It's gonna be super cool. So next step on the bumper is basically we're gonna flip it over, we're gonna grind it down. Steve brought some POR 15 over, we're gonna POR 15 the inside of it, and then sand and prep and paint the outside of it. So that'll bring us to the end of like this bumper mod itself. The next time you see it, we'll probably be putting it on the truck. I'll at least show it to you in one of these episodes as far as that goes. But that's the bumper mod. We added 3¼ inches to this front bumper on this food truck and/or box truck. So pretty badass and pretty happy with it.